So I want to welcome Olga, who is going to teach us a little bit more about speaking, a technique, and why are we here? Olga. Round of applause, please.
Thank you, Spence. It's so lovely to see all of you here. But the question is, why are you here? Perhaps you want to learn something new about public speaking. And today, my topic is audience engagement and interaction. So I thought, instead of giving you endless list of tips how you can do it, I'm going to demonstrate 6 of them, which I find most useful. And the first one I have just done now, in which way I have asked a question. So the question is the most common and very used in public speaking. So when you ask the question, you make your audience wake up and they start paying attention. So try not to come up with some questions which are obviously very hard for people, because you're risking to make the audience think in their chairs and looking around who's going to answer that stuff. So my question was, why are you here? It was relatively easy, but maybe got you wondering, why am I here? I could have gone to the pub or on a date. Well, with a date, you never know how it's going to go. But here, you're guaranteed to have fun tonight. So hands up if you and your view are running their own business or planning to do so. Well, that's great. So perhaps you want to learn how to grow your business using the public speaking. And that's exactly tip number 2. Tell the audience how they are related to your topic, what it does have to do with them. In your case, being here tonight, you're going to learn about public speaking. That's the thing. Make your audience matter. So tell them something like, I don't know about you, but I love learning something new about public speaking. That's the tip number 3. Which number?
3.
And it was about slowing down and changing your tonality. Sometimes you can be very loud, funny, or you can be very sad. Or you can be very playful. That's my mode, which I like. So, actually, can I ask for a volunteer, please, to come up on stage? Claire, would you mind? Of course. Thank you very much for coming. So, it's lovely to see Claire tonight. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm very well, thank you.
Nervous.
And it's very great because Claire has demonstrated the tip number 4, which is using volunteers on stage. You clap hands, please. Thank you very much. So if we get moving on the tip number 5, and it's about asking your audience to do something. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to do something, but you're going to do it very efficiently and might be a little bit romantic. So I will give you just 10 seconds, and you turn to the person on your right and compliment them. Quickly, 10 seconds. Alright, let's come back. Let's come back, guys. Thank you very much. I just realized I need to practice more. So I hope no one has got a slap in their face. It's alright, everybody is happy. So you never know, in every audience, in any, even the most boring event, you never know who you might be sitting next to. Therefore, look around and smile at a couple of people. My friend went to a business trip to a boring IT seminar. There was only one free seat next to her once the audience got packed. And here he came, the guy who was late. He looked at her, she looked at him, and bam, got married in 3 months and happy since. So, you never know how it can turn up. And we come to the last point for today, which is give people the brain food. And I mean it. give them some food. That's why you got your walnuts today in your hand. I got this from the mindfulness seminar. We were talking about raisins, and we had one raisin in our hands. We were looking at it and listening to the story about it for the whole hour, tempted to eat it. And after 1 hour, when we were allowed it to finally eat it, it tasted like never before. And I mean it seriously because I don't eat raisins. Thank you.
Beautiful. So, can I get our first judge, Elliot, to come up and give you some feedback?
Okay, good stuff. Again, really nice progress from the shy, timid young lady that I've seen last year, literally last year. So a few things. Again, look. There's something about kind of putting your hand here than here, energetically. We say this is kind of like 100%, this is like 50%, and this is I can't be bothered, right? So just keep that in mind because the audience will reflect the energy you're putting out there. So I will always, Anik doesn't push the big gestures as much as I do, but I do. The other thing is, have you done the archetypes trainings with us yet? Motivator and things like that? Because, okay, well, maybe this year. This really felt like a motivator kind of archetype, high energy. Tip number 1 is this, and you explain. And then tip number 2 is this. Because your natural state is to be playful, and that was what was missing, right? And I would like to have seen more playful Olga, the smiling Olga, the one that's having fun towards the end that came out, than this very serious step number 1, ask questions.
Smiling the whole way through.
Yeah, there were smiles comes and go, but energetically that playfulness as well. So make sure when we do the archetypes, you do the archetypes. The other thing, I said smile, playful, I had one more thing. Oh yeah, when you're doing tips, just a general thing for everybody out there who is a speaker, is going, tip number 1 is ask questions. What is it?
Ask questions.
And you demand a response back because that way it will be ingrained in their mind. Because I'm certain, how many of you can remember all the tips? And it's hard because you can good because there's only 5 minutes out because there's cheating there. Being married, right, is a cheat. Nice to see you again. But just so you understand, even if they take 1 or 2 more in such a short space, the way to do is to get them to repeat the tip. That's what I'd say. But great job. I love how you're growing as a speaker. Good job.
What's nice for me is because it's the second time I've seen you speak as well, so there is a big difference. You're great at talking about real life stories. You really came alive when she was talking about the stories, which I believe you did more of, or you did at the second section of your list. So when you're doing things like the list and it's, it's actual information, if you can fall into your playfulness and deliver it through stories, then maybe add real life situations to each one, because I really related. I really love the story about your friend getting married as well. I was like, oh, that's so romantic. I love that. So yeah, more story. I'd love to know more stories because that's when you embrace your cheekiness and your take on life, and I really enjoy it. And I really want you to be a bit more sexy in your delivery because you are playful, and I really would love to see more of that. Not in a cheap way, but it's just more of who you are. So just celebrate being a woman and being feminine and being beautiful, and really don't hold back from that because you can still give really intelligent, educated information to people, but by being who you are, and that will make you so bloody magnetic on that stage. Thanks, that's what I've got to say. Sexy.
Bring sexy back.
Oh, yeah.
So they're right. Sex sells. So what was the tip?
Sex sells.
Sex sells. And that's for men as well as women. So beautiful and blonde, smiling. The minute you smile, look, watch. They start, look, they start smiling, they can't help it. They actually start smiling back. But just a word of warning. When you say sad,
Yeah, you're not smiling.
nobody else saw that. She's sad. Yeah. When you're sad, be sad. And that's the playful side that Elliot was just talking about. The other thing is I'm desperate to get hold of your throat and rip it open and make you speak from here, from your diaphragm, babe, right from there. So it's the moment, it's like somebody's got hold of you here and you're speaking from this point, as opposed to breathing and doing it from down here. So I'll speak afterwards, but very, very quickly. Have I got one? Thank you. Just everybody, do you know where your diaphragm is first? Do you know what your diaphragm is? Big, massive muscle that in essence, if you didn't have, you wouldn't breathe. Okay? And it's like a big tube, and it goes around here. And when we breathe in, it goes down. It lowers to allow the rib cage to go out, to allow us to be able to breathe in, to be able to allow us to speak. Quite simple. All right? So when you put your hand on it, you should be able to feel it kind of move. That's where your voice comes from. Anyone that says it comes from your voice box, rubbish. Absolute bollocks. Absolute bollocks. It doesn't come from there. It comes from here. Because that's where the breath comes from. The breath comes up, then passes the voice box. You not got any breath, you won't do it. So I need you to put your hand here and breathe that voice. Feel it from here. And I'd love you to start practicing that and forcing it to come forward, and just know that this will then open. And there's lots of little things that you can do to open it, but definitely from here. So thank you very much.
So can I get one final round of applause for Olga?